America, welcome to Patriot News. I'm your anchor, Catherine Phillips, alongside reporter Sarah James and analyst Prudence Thomas. As we celebrate our nation's newfound independence, let's look back on the road of the American Revolution that brought us here. It was a difficult road, but it brought us the many freedoms that we enjoy today. And without this, we would probably still be under the imperialist rule of Great Britain and oppressed. Our generals and soldiers fought very hard. Let's look back to the beginning of this revolution, the Boston Tea Party.
Back on December 16, 1773, colonists posing as Native Americans protested the Tea Act, which they saw as unfair taxation without representation. No taxation without representation became a crucial battle cry throughout the war. They boarded the ship and dumped 340 chests of East India Trading Company tea into the Boston Harbor. The Native American clothing helped disguise them to the British authorities from colonists. The event was organized by the Sons of Liberty, a known anti-British organization, and led to the Intolerable Acts. I'm with colonial witness Melissa Adams, interviewing her on what the protest meant to the people of Boston.
The Boston Tea Party ended up being a united movement between the colonists. They felt frustrated for not being able to have a voice, and this event was the perfect opportunity for it. It wasn't just about the tea, it was about us not having a voice in the parliament.
Rather than restoring order, this act of defiance angered King George, leading him to tax the colonists even more. This act of defiance was a turning point, leading to more defiance and resistance. In a bold and historic move, our 13 colonies declared independence from Great Britain. Our leaders met at the Second Colonial Congress, announcing that they will no longer answer to the king. Prudence Thomas, will you tell us more about the Declaration of Independence?
Thank you, Catherine. This document, primarily written by Thomas Jefferson, explains the natural rights proposed by John Locke as well as grievances that King George imposed on our colonial people. The grievances include keeping standing armies in our homes without consent, as well as taking down our government. The natural rights include life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These all combine Enlightenment and Age of Reason ideals around the time. Locke's proposed social contract also denotes the relationship between the government and the people and the responsibilities that they have for each other. This is significant because it saved the American Revolution from collapsing, with our General Washington soon after launching a surprise attack on British troops. Doing this was the best decision to prove that he was a capable leader for our army.
Thank you, Prudence. Our next top story tonight takes us back to a risky overnight mission. General George Washington led the Continental Army through the Delaware River late at night, and by morning, he managed to launch a surprise attack on British-occupied Trenton, New Jersey. Our analysis reports that this could raise morale and potentially lead us to win the war. Now let's go to Sarah's live report to learn more about the situation.
Thank you, Catherine. I'm reporting from a very intense movement in which approximately 2,400 Continental Army soldiers crossed the Delaware River under very freezing conditions like limited visibility, strong currents, and floating ice. Despite these very hard challenges, they managed to launch a surprise attack on the British adhesion forces stationed in Trenton, New Jersey. By the morning of December 26, the Army assembled without major disaster and moved toward Trenton, where Washington established a victory. Military reports confirmed that over 900 of their enemy soldiers were killed, while American casualties were very low, making this one of the most successful events. Joining us now with more insight is Mason Pitcher, a member of the Continental Army.
Everyone was exhausted and freezing, and most of our soldiers would barely feel their hands when we were rowing. The freezing wind was difficult to function in and would cut into our clothes. We believed in Washington because his leadership is phenomenal, so the very first thing that we could do is trust in him. Even at our lowest, we would always trust in Washington.
After months of uncertainty, the Continental Army proved that it could still fight and win. Covering Washington crossing the Delaware, this is Catherine Phillips reporting. Next, we'll come back to talk about the Battle of Yorktown. George Washington had decided to go to Yorktown, where General Cornwallis and 8,000 British soldiers were. This did not intimidate Washington because he was accompanied by 19,900 soldiers, militia, French troops, and others. Prudence Thomas, will you tell me more about the importance of the Battle of Yorktown?
This was the last major battle of the American Revolution where Cornwallis surrendered to the Americans and gave the win. This is the moment that American independence was inevitable, and this was significant because not only was it the last battle of the American Revolution, but it also effectively ended the British efforts. battle forced Great Britain to bring peaceful ideas which benefited everyone in the end.
Sarah James here at Patriot News. We have an exclusive interview with George Washington. Mr. Washington, could you tell us how we have remained dedicated and confident to fight in this war?
You know, Sarah, it has been tough sometimes to remain confident in these harsh conditions, but I, along with all of my fellow patriots, feel so strongly to prove our dominance and abilities in this fight representation. We have been discriminated against and scrutinized for as long as we have been a part of British colonies. And this revolution is our way to break free and establish our independence, which we so greatly deserve. It has been an honor to lead this army, and I strive to do it with pride and honor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Washington. We truly appreciate all that you have done. Moving on to a not-so-friendly point, here with us for a chance to prove his views is Mr. Charles Cornwallis, leader of the British Army. Mr. Cornwallis, how has it felt to lead the powerful and unified Redcoats?
You know, it is a great honor to lead these strong, fine men into battle. We settled these American colonies for our benefit, and it shall remain that way for as long as I live to see. This revolution is a complete bogus from the colonists and must be stopped immediately. How dare they try to break apart from the mother country that has done so much for them, decade after decade. Truly, I do not understand. Fear not, an end shall be put soon.
As the fighting came to an end, they decided to not engage in any more conflicts, and 23 months later, they finally signed the Treaty of Paris. Let's go to Sarah for more on this agreement on what obtained American independence.
Thank you, Kayla. On September 3rd, 1783, representatives from the American colonies and Great Britain signed the Treaty of Paris, officially ending the American Revolution. A preliminary treaty was signed on November 30th, 1782. This agreement finally noticed the United States as independent. Under the treaty, Britain recognized U.S. independence and the Mississippi River became the new nation's western boundary. I'm here with a colonial citizen reacting to the news of this treaty.
Oh my fudge, this is such a relief. After years of going back to winning and losing, we finally gained independence after so much effort.
The Treaty of Paris was significant because it transformed the United States into an independent nation. By forcing Britain to acknowledge U.S. independence, it ensured that Britain would not make any efforts to take back control. It also established boundaries at the Mississippi River. Nonetheless, this treaty showed how nations could break away from other countries, eventually gaining freedom.
On January 14, 1784, the Continental Congress ratified the treaty in Annapolis, Maryland. This made independence final and complete. This decision finally led the American Revolution to an end. I'm your anchor, Catherine Phillips, alongside reporter Sarah James and analyst Prudence Thomas, signing off. Good night, America.